Welcome to the content area called Energy, all about energy. We're going to talk about how energy isn't created or destroyed, it's transformed. We're also going to talk about clean and renewable types of energy that are going to replace fossil fuels. So we always start with the exhibit that's closest to the entry of the Trailblazer door. For energy, that's our energy conversion exhibit. So we're going to start off with all of our switches turned down. These are our resistors, and we're going to start powering it with our crank. We're going to talk about mechanical energy. Now, when this crank is turning, it kind of looks like something I see in the background here. What is this you see? So these are wind turbines. So we're going to mimic a wind turbine using our muscles. So I'm going to take the crank and I'm going to turn it clockwise. Right now it's super easy to turn because I don't have any resistors going, but let's try this LED light. Hey, I can light up that light pretty easy. All right, so I'm going to ask a kiddo to come up and turn another one, and a kiddo's going to be the one turning the crank, and we're going to ask him what it feels like. So we're going to turn on the bell switch, and when I crank, I ask the kiddo, what did you feel? And they're going to tell you that it's harder to turn this crank now that there's two resistors. So let's try a third resistor. Let's turn on our fan. Oh, that gets really tricky to turn. So the kiddo's going to be able to tell you that turning this crank got harder and harder with every resistor that we turned on. So we want to give everybody a chance to get their hands on it and turn. So this one, again, you got to crank clockwise, because if you go counterclockwise, not all the resistors will work. So let's go ahead and turn these back off. One thing to think of is that environmental engineers, these people who harness the power of wind turbines, who study the effect of clean energy, that average salary is $80,000 a year. So it's a pretty awesome STEM career that you can get from this exhibit. So let's turn it to solar. Let's talk about another form of clean and renewable energy. I would start off asking, does anybody know what this rectangle is here? Pretty much every kid's gonna tell you it's a solar panel. If they don't know, let them know that it's a solar panel and ask what they think it does. Well, we're gonna turn on the sun, and our solar panel is taking that energy from the sun, and let's see which resistors it can power up. So let's try our fan. Not enough energy for our fan. Let's try our bell. Not enough for that, but let's try our LED light. Ta-da! So just using a solar panel, just using the sun's energy, we've already saved ourselves a little bit of that mechanical energy. But do solar panels work all the time? Is it bright and sunny all the time? It's not. So I'm gonna have a kiddo come up, move these clouds over. So on a cloudy day, we see that our light is dimmed down here. So what can we do to harness that energy while the sun is not shining? We have to develop batteries that can hold on to that energy. So I like to use this to encourage kids to say, hey, you're the next STEM professional who's going to come up with a battery that can harness the sun's energy to release our dependency on fossil fuels and just use the sun that's already there and available. And I also like to tell them solar energy system engineers make about $95,000 a year. So that's a pretty catchy number. So we're talking a lot about circuits and energy, so let's make sure that everybody knows what a circuit is. When I'm at an elementary school, I like to start with asking, what's a circuit? Most of the time they can't answer it right away, so I say, what shape does that sound like? And I hold up kind of a circle so that way they can see, oh, it's a circle. I'm giving them a hint. And so that way it's really fun and upbeat. Okay, so if it's a circuit and it's a circle, what does that mean? It's all got to be connected. So let's try it with this fun thing called an energy stick. And I have them all put their hands into the middle, and they're going to grab just any other hand that they have. The water in our bodies are conducting this big circuit, and we're completing the circuit. That's a closed circuit because it's closed. Open circuit, closed circuit. And then I let them try to find interesting ways to complete the circuit. Sometimes they touch each other's ears, they poke each other's elbows. As long as they're being respectful, they can make a circuit of any way that they like, and it's a big hit. Something else to include is the fact that electronics engineers make $98,000 a year. So if you had fun with this, you can go on and turn that into a great STEM career. So we'll move over to the next box over here where we have our hand boilers. Now, that's kind of a misnomer because we're not actually gonna boil anything, but I will show you what happens. So I have the kiddos stretch out their hands nice and flat, and I ask them to think of this as the most delicate egg they've ever held because it could break. I recommend you as the facilitator holding the top of the bulb until you know that they have wrapped their hands around it nice and gently. Inside, the ethyl alcohol is actually not boiling. What's happening is, feel our hands. Our hands are, what are they? They're hot, they're warm, they have heat coming off of them. The heat's transferring through the glass and it's warming up the air inside. And when the air inside gets warm, it expands. This is called Charles's law. So it's a relationship between heat and expansion of gases, like the air that's inside, and pushing the water up and making it boil. So we have a couple of these, and as long as you're watching them, you can have them both going at the same time. And then make sure you, as the volunteer, put them back into the box really gently. Thermal engineers, those engineers who are harnessing the heat of the earth to convert it into energy, actually make about $81,000 a year. So now to our most shocking exhibit in the energy content area, our Van de Graaff generator. Now, if you have an electronic medical device such as a pacemaker or an insulin pump, give your facilitator a heads up because we may want to move you around. This could affect electronic devices. If you have a cell phone, go ahead and store it away because we don't want it to get zapped. We even have to protect the exhibits on the other side from this because sometimes, depending on the humidity and where we are, they can be really zappy. So just be aware of that. If you have any kids that come up who have a pacemaker or an insulin pump, the teacher should let you know. Go ahead and let them know and have them participate by observing. So we're gonna look at this big rubber band that's rotating in there really, really fast, and that is building up a static charge. Exactly like when you have your sock feet on and you're on the carpet and you're shuffling around and you're building up that positive charge and you go and doop, zap your little brother, is the exact same concept, but this is building up the charge right inside this handy generator. So to see that charge in action, we're the ground. It's gonna wanna be positive coming through us and grounding and completing its path. So it's gonna reach out, ooh, and zap it. Again, not unlike lightning that we see from the sky, from static electricity. So we're gonna shock each other. So I like to make sure that we have consent from the kids. Say, hey, would you like to be shocked? If they want it to, great. If they don't, we're gonna totally respect their wishes. So to ground myself, I connect there. Now I can touch it without any problem. I'm not getting shocked. I can remove this. But now the shock is coming through me. So I'm gonna hold my palm out really flat and I'm gonna have them come up with one finger and touch, and they're gonna get zapped. And then if they touch my palm, they can then zap their friends. Again, this thing depends on the humidity outside. The more humid it is, the harder it is to build up static electricity. So if you're not seeing big shocks, it could be because there's a lot of moisture in the air. If you're somewhere that's really dry, have a good time because it's gonna be really zappy. So let's look at a few other things. To release my hand, I'm gonna put this ground on here again and take it out. So now we should be able to get shocks again. So I'm gonna put it flat on the Van de Graaff generator. I'm gonna take my, I like to say this is a wig, so we're gonna put it on top of this guy's head. Put it on top. Right now it's not doing anything, but if you wanna come look really closely, when I let go, the static electricity is gonna cause the hair to rise up. So if you've ever been under a parachute or rubbed a balloon against your hair and watched how it floated up, this is the exact same thing. Now, again, to take it off, grounding, letting go. And then if you've ever opened a package with styrofoam pieces and had them kind of stick to you static electricity-like, you've definitely witnessed this in action. So I'm gonna put this nearby, let go of my wand, and then watch how these all scatter around because of that electricity in there. When I'm ready to turn it on or off, this switch here. So something you can kind of wrap up the Van de Graaff generator with is letting them know that physicists who use these concepts make about $80,000 a year.